So, welcome back to Beyond Contact. This time the aim is simple, so I will say it like a simpleton. Me Kanga, love to bash skulls. Bashing rocks, boring. Poking plants, pointless. Yes, that's right, can Kanga build a successful base only by hunting? So Kanga started out crashed, landed without complications in a desert region of Cutern. He promptly set out to scan anything and everything he could find so that he could use the data to research how to use Cutern's unique plant, mineral and animal wealth to fashion ever pointier weapons. Ideally, Kanga would love the security baton, the first real weapon in the game. However, the security baton requires materials to build, lots of them, and since this would mean foraging for more materials rather than using said materials to consecutively concave craniums, he settled for the humble explorer's pick. Besides copious scanning for research, Kanga needed to track down a market. After all, if he was intent on not gathering all the resources himself, he would have to find someone to do it for him.
I must focus. They could be hiding anywhere in this forest.
Anyway, without the pick, Kanga could only run away from the local fauna, so he scrounged the bare ground for the required timber and sparkstone.
It's dry and hot out here. I like it.
He had to work quickly, as without the pick, he had no way of hunting food, and he was already beginning to feel the pangs of hunger.
It is late.
Kanga then realised he faced another problem, Cutern's freezing cold nights. If he didn't soon build a thermostick, which also requires sparkstone and timber, he would freeze to death. Just at the point of giving up and resorting to Kanga's least favourite pastime of harvesting plants, he found the materials to make a thermostick, just seconds before becoming a man-sized icicle.
Plus, it has limited hazard protection. It will recharge upon leaving the area.
This still left him painfully hungry. Kanga can level up to eat raw meat, but at level 0 his only option was to find the market and trade in his quarry for some edible narnips. In an astounding stroke of luck, this was also exactly the same moment he managed to stumble upon said market. Having found the requisite materials, with his newly forged pick, Kanga picked a fight with some hostile flora for their sweet, sweet air sacs and healing vines. This would give him some leeway when using his pick to mine urchin skulls for meat and profit. Picking on the urchins would also give him valuable experience to level up, allowing him to take his racial ability and eat raw meat.
Mine.
The meat was less than palatable. Kanga's next problem was that his pick was rapidly becoming worn. Making another would require scrounging for more sparkstone, but Kanga hates hunting inanimate objects. First rule of business: delegate, delegate, delegate. But before the market would offer sparkstone, they would need a present of ancient writings. Feeling bold, Kanga headed straight to an enemy's stronghold at a nexus point, as, apparently, ferocious though the enemy may be, the corrupted are compulsive hoarders of great works of literature.
This land is cursed to burn all who enter. Curses do not exist.
You have located a corrupted nexus. You must destroy the corruption before it can be captured.
It was a quick in-and-out job, targeting the weakest, scrawniest of the corrupted crab creatures. Unfortunately, said crab features was also sporting a big gun, and Kanga barely made it out of the enemy's base alive. Now, it was a simple matter of hunting chitterlings for food and selling the carapace for money. With money and food secure, Kanga had the market upgraded, and the friendly, non-corrupted crab creatures were now happy to go fetch sparkstone for money. Ah, capitalism at work. Another benefit of finding the market was access to missions from the Brachylon, providing another source of money and experience. Kanga determined to keep a spare pick on hand to totally eliminate the possibility that he would have to do any more foraging for materials to build another, in case his current one broke. As Kanga began his great hunt in earnest, he perfected his hit-and-run tactics. Or his hit-and-run tactic. It was a veritable melee biathlon. Exhausted from his biathlon, Kanga turned to netting chitterlings for food, sometimes with more success than others. He also built a small stove. While he enjoys raw meat well enough, cooked food provides health, especially gomble grapes. To further progress down the tech tree, Kanga needed rarer materials, which required upgrading the market further. This, however, would require more reading materials for the Brachylon, and the only way to obtain these was to win them from the corrupted. He could make another attack on the nexus point, but Kanga was mindful of only just surviving his last foray, so he decided he would make some light armour and seek out an easier target, commenting on the scenery of this bizarre world as he went.
Fields for grazing. Good land for pastures. I have no care for these geodes.
At length, Kanga found a void seed. It was well defended, but not as well defended as Kanga was offended, and he made short work of the corrupted, employing such tactics as dancing and smashing his pick into the exposed rock to confuse his prey. He then worked his way back to the market, trading in his pick and what was presumably a manual on ancient mining techniques to fully delegate mining to the native inhabitants. With this done, he could now forge the mighty security baton, which serves double the damage of the pick. With the security baton in hand, Kanga now needed to work further down the tech tree, but having scanned almost all of the native animal, vegetable and mineral in the region, it would be almost impossible to accumulate all the data needed to research a way of stabilizing the nexus points and thus completing his mission. Instead, he resolved to work towards building a small research outpost, consisting, at the minimum, of a data laboratory and some source of power. It would take time, however, for Kanga's pet AI, Carl, to implement the research needed to build even these structures, so he set out exploring, eventually coming across the void seed from earlier, and, with his trusty blue baton, he dispatched the remaining corrupted.
Your cowardly chicks are no match for Kanga.
This gave him the requisite experience to implement his bionic strong arm attack, adding to his damage output. It also secured more great literature for the Brachyllon, which Kanga could use to further expand the market. Expanding the market and building backup weapons comes at a cost, though, a cost that would have to be recouped in blood, and blood was becoming thin on the ground, or rather thick on the ground and sparse among living creatures as he thinned out the local wildlife. And so Kanga headed out into the boiling springs to hunt viperlisks. He got somewhat more than he bargained for, though, having pounded a great snake's skull into Swiss cheese, all the other viperlisks in the area decided they had better places to be. This afforded Kanga with a good supply of money, enough to start on his outpost, which he established adjacent to the nearby teleporter obelisk to further expedite a quick return in case the corrupted decided to attack. The data laboratory would allow him to buy mineral samples from the Brachyllon to further his research towards stabling the nexus sites and lessen the need to be selective in which avenues of research to pursue. For a while, this became Kanga's life: hunt, sell, buy materials, research, turn in missions, ever working towards refining materials to construct a comms relay. Amidst this cycle of slowly building up resources, Kanga revisited the Void Nexus and, somewhat more battle-hardened and armed with a shiny baton, he succeeded in defeating the corrupted and destroying their base there, gaining a set of Dread Nova armor in the process.
Avoid Nexus. The corrupted want this, but they can't have it.
A suit of armor so bizarre that all who don it fear to see their own reflection, hence Dread Nova. Not long afterwards, Kanga located Bar Hollow, the enemy's fortress in the region. Unfortunately, it is unassailable. However, it does act as a convenient place to hunt corrupted for more Brachyllon magazines. Bolstered by his victories, he bought the requisite materials for a Hasgard suit, and considered using it for himself, but having the Dread Nova armor already, he decided to give the suit to the Brachyllon in return for delegating weapon production. This would prove vital later, as the Void weapons are more than twice the power of his baton. Encountering a group of viperlisks and satyrids attacking each other, Kanga stretched his definition of hunting to include stealing kills from other animals, on the condition that he is the ultimate victor. On his way back to base, though, he got word of an attack preparing to assault his base.
Seeing movement from the enemy. The corrupted are readying for battle.
So he struck out to destroy the attack party before it reached the outpost. Okay.
Time for a counterattack.
On the bright side, with all the varied materials he picked up from his excursion, he was able to build the comm relay, which he used immediately to exchange Polykine for more experience to guide his future endeavours.
Kanga is ready for another mission.
After building out the base even further, he intercepted more corrupted, as they tried to take additional nexus points,
Bring forth your warriors, for you are all Kanga's prey.
earning himself additional armour and void crystal, which he traded in at the market for a void axe, the most powerful melee weapon. This led to somewhat of a killing spree. Along with several missions to collect carapace, there was not an urchin on Catern that did not tremble at the name of Kanga.
Yes, good work, Kanga.
To further add to their fear, Kanga constructed an oven to eliminate the tedium of cooking all the copious meat he collected, then continued a cycle of hunt, research, refine, until he had researched fissure stabilization and depleted missions from HQ. As a planetary sandstorm struck his position, Kanga amassed great volumes of materials to complete more missions for HQ and build a heat tech coat. In the process, Kanga realized that he finally had enough materials to build a nexus stabilizer. And so Kanga headed out to the nearest nexus point and built the stabilizer, thereby proving that it is indeed possible to succeed only by hunting. Having proved his point, Kanga was happy to head back to HQ and leave the rest of the job to others at Space Corps. Final thoughts then on Kanga and his journey. Can you beat Beyond Contact just with hunting? Strictly speaking, no, because you do need the materials for the first weapon. Otherwise, though, yes, the only things you really need to do other than getting the materials for the first weapon is to get at least one Brachyllon text to upgrade the market. This way you can ensure you always can trade for the resources needed to make a weapon. And the other thing you need to do is prioritize data mining research, so that you can exchange raw materials for data to progress down the tech tree.